This is WGN Entertaining America.
They're coming back here in the 7th inning. 1 run in, 3 men on, 2 men out. And the Royals go to their bullpen. Young right-hander Ken Ray takes over in a huge 2-out jam.
Well, especially big for him because this is just his 5th appearance of the year. He's 1-0, has yet to give up a run. Last year in AAA, he was used mostly as a starter. But this is a different situation. He inherits the bases loaded. The Royals have a 3-run lead, but the game is on the bases for Jose Hernandez, who could take it and put the Cubs up with 1 swing of the bat.
We're visiting with Jimmy Buffett and his lovely family here at the ballpark. How the ball team's doing? How the ball club's doing?
Ball clubs are doing pretty good. We're struggling too.
Who isn't?
Looking for pitching, Chip.
Everybody's looking for pitching. And look at this stat. The Kansas City Royals have more blown saves than converted saves this season.
Well,
that is amazing.
Tony Muser bemoaning the fact that his team has been in most every game, only to see many slip away via the bullpen. And again, normally Jeff Montgomery's a man that just comes in and closes down everything. But this has been a most unusual year for him and a real disappointing year for that Kansas City pen. Let's see if the Cubs can take advantage of it.
Bases are full of Cubs. Jose Hernandez, the batter, a base hit in the first. A right-hander comes set, and his first pitch. Little looping fly ball hit to right. On comes Dye, still coming. He's got it. And the inning is over. The Cubs settle for 1 run, 4 hits in the 7th. We move 1 closer. 5-2 our score. Jimmy Buffett, great to see you. Good luck
Thank you,
with
Chip.
the shows.
Thank
We'll
you,
see
Steve. Always a pleasure.
All right.
Cheers.
Take care. 5-2 our score. We go to the 8th. The Cubs threaten, scored just once. It's 5-2, and here's our Ameritech playbook.
It's a home run by Tim Spear after the intentional walk to Joe Randa. It put the Royals well ahead, and so Tim Spear is our Ameritech play of the day.
Kevin Tapani goes 7 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs. Walked only 1 man. It was intentional. He struck out 4, 1-hit batsman, 1 home run. And now Scott Sanders on to try to hold them right where they are, and he faces Beltran to lead it off.
And Sanders on for the 37th time. 31 of those out of the bullpen. He's 3-4, 5.18 ERA. Last time out did a real good job in relief of Dan Serafini, pitching 3 1/3 innings of relief, giving up just a run on 2 hits.
Line drive into center field for a hit on an 0-2 pitch. So Beltran has his 118th hit in the American League, or on the season, for Kansas City.
And I'm thinking that they're going to run with him here. They want to stay out of the double play. Sweeney cannot run at all. He's grounded into 12 double plays. And Beltran has swiped 14, been caught 7 times. I'm sure Mark Grace went up and talked to Scott Sanders about holding him close at first.
The Miller family watching from Enid, Oklahoma on WGN today. They're watching in Tipton, Iowa. Rich Myers never misses a game, he tells us on the internet. Again to first.
And let's see if Jim Riggleman calls a pitch out on the first pitch. Tony Muser's been pretty aggressive this year, knowing that his team does not hit the ball out of the ballpark all that often.
Sweeney's had a big day, a couple of doubles, and the breaking ball is low, 1-0.
Well, there's no doubt that Sweeney, with increased playing time, has become a much better hitter. Last year, just 92 games, he hit just .259 with 8 home runs, 35 driven in. So he's already flown by those numbers.
1 ball, no strikes, no sign of movement. Now fly ball hit to left and playable for Henry. He's got it. 1 man down. Back to first is Beltran. Jermaine Dye looks for his first base hit of the day. He's 0 for 3. He's hit safely in 14 of 15 for Kansas City with 18 driven in during that stretch. Don't know if he's the guy you can build your franchise around, but he's turned into a very valuable commodity and a piece of the puzzle. He leads their team in home runs with 18.
Well, the man you can build your franchise around is the guy that's standing on first base, because this is a 5-tool player and the sky is the limit as far as his development is concerned.
He's going. The pitch low. The read throw. Sails again. Another stolen base. This time it's by Beltran, and a big insurance run in scoring position, 1 out.
I'm kind of surprised they waited as long as they did, because Jeff Reed does not throw the ball particularly well, and Scott Sanders is not the fastest to home plate. So from the Southwest Airlines Plainview camera, we'll take a look at a real good jump and a throw that's nowhere near. 15 of them as he looks back to make sure there's no contact and slides in easily at second.
And in case you wondered who led the American League in steals, it's Shannon Stewart of Toronto with 29. That was number 15 by Beltran. National League stolen base leader.
It's Roger Cedeno
with 50.
Turned out to be a pretty good trade for those Met boys.
Dodgers had no place to play him apparently, with Sheffield and Mondesi. And Devon White.
They could probably find a place now.
Yes, indeed. 2 balls, no strikes to Jermaine Dye. He has prodigious power, as we've told you. Hate to say it, but you have to like the future of this Kansas City team. Assuming everybody stays healthy, they have a chance to be a pretty good ball club. They've played very well today. (5-2) Kansas City the lead. The stretch in the 2-0. Ripped foul back. Couple of finals in. Boston has beaten the Marlins 11-9 the final score. Boston snaps a brief 2-game slide. They've won for the 51st time this year. They're 4 games behind the Yankees. Toronto beat Atlanta 3-2 at Skydome. Kevin Millwood took the mound against Joey Hamilton in that game. The 2-1. High fly ball, line toward left. Sammy drifts back to his right. Has it, tagging from second, moving toward third is Beltran with 2 out. So Beltran at third with 2 outs. They're in the top of the 8th at Yankee Stadium after a long rain delay. David Cone, pitching for the Yankees, has a no-hitter. In fact, as we scroll down the scoreboard, no walks as well. So it might be a perfect game for David Cone working at Yankee Stadium.
The question is, how long was that rain delay, and will he be able to come back out?
Well, it was early in the game. It's like in the 3rd or 4th inning. So he has pitched 8 innings so far with 9 strikeouts. And Cone with only 70 pitches through 8 innings.
Wow.
So he is going to have all the best of it going to the 9th inning, and we will keep you updated on that one, pitch by pitch. Here's Joe Randa, runner at third with 2 outs.
When does Jose Vidro come up in that game?
I knew that was coming. Let's see. It's Widger, Andrews, and Cabrera expected in the top of the 9th inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Randa, a man they called the Joker when he played for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Had a smile very reminiscent of Jack Nicholson, who played that character so brilliantly in the original Batman movie. High fly ball hit down the left field line. Long run for Henry Rodriguez. Slowing now in foul ground. Has it. And the inning is over. A big runner stranded at third for Kansas City. After 7.5, we need 3 to tie. It's 5-2 Royals. It's 5-2. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. This Wednesday, July 21st, will be Sprint PCS Day at Wrigley Field. Quality Sprint PCS digital phones and services will be given away each and every inning. You can win one with a lucky ticket number drawing, or stop by the Cubs administrative offices here at the ballpark for a free entry form. That's Sprint PCS Day at the ballpark Wednesday, July 21st against the Pirates.
And the bullpen up and going as Ray takes the mound here in the 8th inning. So Tony Muser has everybody working.
Grace an RBI single in the first inning. Grace, Sosa, Rodriguez here in the 8th inning. It's only a 3-run Kansas City lead.
Well, if the Cubs are going to get it done, this would be a good inning to start. It's the heart of the order.
Grace looks that one into Tim Spears' glove. It's 2-1.
Ray out of Atlanta, Georgia, last year at Wichita, 10-5, and he started 21 of his 24 appearances.
2 balls, 1 strike, and it's high, 3-1. In fact, Ray lives in the hometown of NASCAR's Bill Elliott. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, Georgia.
A leadoff walk would look awfully good.
3-1. 3-2.
The big sidearm right-hander is Scott Service down in the bullpen.
And that's not our former Scott Service.
And Tim Burdack, the left-hander.
Grace rips it to right. Dye breaks in, steps back. 1 down. Jermaine Dye has been unbelievable out there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 putouts in right field today. 1 away for Sosa. Sammy 0 for 3, hit into a double play in the first. It was one of the best double plays we've seen all year. He's also tapped out to Ray Sanchez and also has flied to right. In fact, the only men not to have flied to Jermaine Dye in this game are Tyler Houston, Curtis Goodwin, and the pitcher spot. That says a lot. Breaking ball, strike. The story in baseball today, David Cone perfect through 8 at Yankee Stadium.
Trying to match David Wells of 1 year ago.
The Yankees batting in the bottom of the 8th inning, leading that ball game 5-zip. Minnesota still leads the Cardinals 1-0 in the bottom of the 8th inning. A Denny Hocking homer leading off the game, the only run that is scored. Maybe that's the secret for the Twins. Sosa, line drive right field, past Fabulous for a hit. 7th hit of the homestand for Sosa, and it brings Henry up. He homered last time. Another huge crowd here at home, 38,655. The Cubs at 1.35 million fans now on the year, and just our 38th home game. 1 on, 1 out for Henry. Letter high, ball 1. Yankees now lead Montreal 6-0. A double by Paul O'Neill, a single by Bernie Williams. They may want to stop scoring and get Cone out there in a hurry so he stays in rhythm.
I think that's probably what David Cone is saying. I've got enough. Just let me get back out there.
Again, he's only thrown 70 pitches in that game. Ground ball, double play ball perhaps. Fabulous to Sanchez, 1. First is in time for 6-3. Double play ends the inning. Second double play turned in by the Royals. It erases a Cub threat. In the 8th to the 9th we go. KC 5, Cubs 2. Tim Spear leads it off for the Royals in the 9th inning. He is the arch villain of today's game. His 3-run homer after a 2-out intentional walk to Joe Randa broke the game open, made it a 5-1 affair in the Kansas City 6th. So Spear with 21 RBIs, that's a career high. Scott Sanders goes back to work here in the 9th inning. Where has the offense gone? Started very well against Minnesota in the first 2 games. 17 hits in the series opener. The Cubs then pounded out 11 runs on 15 hits in comeback fashion Friday. Were handcuffed on 3 hits yesterday. Today, just 2 runs, 9 hits against Kansas City, a team that came in 2 from the bottom in earned run average in the American League.
Felix Heredia is starting to loosen up.
Two balls and a strike to Spear. White Sox have come back to take a lead over Milwaukee 4-3. Tigers and Reds tied 8-8 in the 10th. Houston battling the Cleveland Indians. It was 1-0 Houston at last count. It's still 1-0 Houston. Jarrett Wright, Mike Hampton in a great matchup. That game in the 8th inning, if Houston wins and we lose, we're in trouble. We'll be 10 games out of first. Two balls, 2 strikes to the Royals backstop Tim Spear. Sanders has his first strikeout. 1 away here in the top of the 9th.
Scott has learned to take something off that slider, and I think that's really helped him. He's had a lot of the right-hand hitters out in front of it. So from the Southwest Airlines Plainview camera, we'll take a look at it. And there is the aforementioned Southwest Airlines Plainview camera high atop beautiful Wrigley Field. Ray Sanchez and Carlos Fablis have been just terrific around the bag at second base and shortstop today. They've really made quite a difference. 2 double plays that probably shouldn't have been turned or couldn't have been turned by a lesser duo have turned into a couple of double plays off the bat of Sammy Sosa and Henry Rodriguez.
And they were killer double plays too. In the first inning, the Cubs had them in scoring position, could only score once. And then Henry wraps into the twin killing to end the 8th.
And what an advantage that is if you don't give a major league team an extra out in an inning. And that's what these 2 guys in the middle do for the Royals on a daily basis.
Sanchez pops it foul and out of play, 1-2. Why couldn't he stick with us, Sanchez?
At the time, we had a lot of shortstops, and Ray had some injury problems. You might remember, Chip, if you think back, he did exactly what Kevin Tapani did. He broke that hamate bone in his hand. The difference, of course, is Ray's a hitter, and he had all kinds of problems with it. Then eventually he had to have surgery, and of course he really couldn't show the Cubs at that point how well he could play on a daily basis, and he had to move elsewhere. But he's now become an everyday shortstop and done a great job.
2-2 the count. At that position, sure, you'd love to see him hit 20 home runs like a Cal Ripken or a Nomar or whatever, but throw all that out. Does he make all the plays, and is he helping tutor a Rookie of the Year candidate at second base? The answers to those questions are a resounding yes for the Royals. A high fly hit to left, right at Henry, who gallops in 2 steps, and they're 2 down. Looking ahead to the bottom of the 9th inning, Houston, Reed, and Goodwin are due for the Cubs.
And we will see a pinch hitter.
Jeremy Giambi,
whose brother plays for Oakland. And there's a look at Jeremy. He does not have a pinch hit this year, but he is hitting .270. Just a home run and 13 driven in.
Giambi, a 6th-round pick by KC back in '96. Last year, hit .372 at Omaha with 20 home runs, 66 driven in, and 325 at bats.
And here comes Felix.
The former Cal State Fullerton Titan will now have to face the left-hander Felix Heredia. Scott Sanders goes an inning and 2/3, gives up only 1 hit, and it's Heredia against Giambi here in the 9th inning. We'll step aside and see how this matchup fares when we come back to beautiful Wrigley Field in a moment. Heredia against Mr. Giambi here in the 9th.
And Felix Heredia comes into this one 3-0. ERA 4.81 up for the 41st time. He leads the staff in appearances. So Ray did his job getting Supan out of the 7th inning, then getting out of the 8th inning before turning it over to the bullpen with at least a 3-run lead.
David Cone goes to the 9th inning in New York, leading the Expos 6-0. Chris Widger, Shane Andrews, and Cabrera, the 7, 8, 9 hitters, due up for Montreal in that ball game. We'll tell you what happens pitch by pitch as that takes place. Here's Giambi hitting .270 and a big strike. 0-1. 5-2 Kansas City the lead. Popped out of play.
Over by your truck.
Well, you have a new truck in Chicago. It doesn't look new for long, that's for sure. Today it's our truck, because if it doesn't work, we're not going home. Ground ball, foul past first. Well, I'll bet Yankee Stadium is going nuts right now with Cone.
Those who stayed after the rain delay.
Here comes the 0-2. High fly ball hammered toward right, but playable for Sammy. Drifts back. He's under it. He's got it. And the inning is over. Chris Widger just struck out. Cone 2 outs away from perfection. But we've got problems of our own. We need 3 runs to tie Kansas City as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. 5-2 our score. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Scott Service will try to shut down the Cubs as the Royals leading us 5-2.
There's a look at the numbers for Scott Service, looking for his 5th save. This entire Kansas City team has a grand total of 14. And this would tie him with Jeff Montgomery. Montgomery has had an injury-plagued season as Service comes in for the 43rd time. Usually working in the middle, but now forced to close. And he's a sidearm right-hander who generally has some problems with the left-hand hitters.
Ryan McGuire just flied out at Yankee Stadium. David Cone 2 outs in the 9th inning, seeking a perfect game on Yogi Berra Day in the Bronx. Amazing. Here's Tyler Houston to lead it off in the 9th. Tyler is 0 for 3. Of course, the trade deadline approaching. Kansas City has drawn the interest of a lot of teams. Kevin Appier specifically. What happens to him if they don't move him?
Well, I think he has a clause in his contract that if they don't move him by the 31st, there's something like an $800,000 buyout he can opt for free agency. And so that would be some incentive to move him. Kirk Robinson, the general manager, says so far he's been underwhelmed by the offers.
1-1. High fly ball popped up. Who wants it? Fabulous has room. 1 down. So Tyler pops up. He is 1 for 12 on the homestand. Cabrera, the pinch hitter, or the batter, I should say, for Montreal, facing a 1-1 count with David Cone facing him at Yankee Stadium. Cone's thrown a mere 85 pitches. He has struck out 10 men.
How about a bunt single?
Oh. Mr. Cabrera would have some problems. He popped out and it's over. David Cone has a perfect game. Reed drives that ball to right. Jermaine dives, can't get it. Reed's got extra bases. He'll pick up Tom Gamboa at third. He'll chug around second. He's on his way and he'll make it safely.
Well, that's the first play that Jermaine Dye was unable to make in right field. He's made every other. He dove for this one, came up a little short as Jeff Reed with a rare triple. Hits this ball on the line. Dye coming over, makes the dive. It hits off the end of the glove. And Reed winds up with a 3-base hit. That's his first triple of the year.
Amazingly, David Cone picks up the perfect game on Yogi Berra Day, and Don Larson was in attendance at Yankee Stadium. Awesome. So here's Curtis Goodwin. He's 2 out of 3 today. He swings at the first ball and pops it up. Dye has it. Reed fakes, but he's not going anywhere. 2 men down.
And Jeff Blauser will come on to pinch hit with the Cubs down to their last out. Earlier, Gary Gaddy came through with a pinch hit single. Now it's up to Blauser if he can get it to the top of the order. Last 2 games with runners in scoring position, the Cubs just 2 for 12. The 2 wins against Minnesota, they were hitting .500. Well, that's why you win 2, and that's why you're on the verge here of losing 2.
So Jeff Blauser, our final hope. 5-2, Kansas City the lead. A Reed triple here in the 9th. And Blauser looks outside.
One thing you know about Jeff is if it's inside, he will step in the way of it, and he's not going to swing at a pitch out of the zone. So he knows the importance of getting on and bring the tying run to the plate.
That would be Mickey Morandini. Outside corner at the knees. It's 1-1. Boy, another shot in the arm for baseball. David Cone. A perfect game on Yogi Berra Day at Yankee Stadium with Don Larson, who pitched a perfect game in the World Series, in attendance. That had to be just spine-tingling in the Bronx. Way outside, 2-1. I've never seen a perfect game. I've seen 8 2/3 innings of perfection. Randy Johnson did it once. But a broken bat single by Lance Blankenship of the Oakland A's spoiled the fun for him. Awesome. Of course, Milt Pappas came within a strike.
And then settled for the no-hitter. Bruce Fremming behind the plate at that one. Milt still arguing with Bruce about that call. Bruce still says he's not going to change it.
It's a little late for that. 3 balls and a strike to Jeff. He lost him. Tying run comes to the plate. We still have hope. Another clutch at bat by Blauser.
Well, he's got a terrific eye, and you knew that he wasn't going to swing at anything out of the zone. And so now Mickey Morandini with a couple of hits today. Would love to keep it alive for Jose Hernandez. And Mickey normally a pretty tough out.
Mickey 2 for 4 today with a run scored. Interesting stats sent along by one of our viewers tonight. David Cone is the first pitcher to make 100 consecutive starts as a Yankee without pitching a complete game shutout.
He got one today.
Yes, he did. Two on, 2 out for Mickey, who looks low. Again, Kansas City, more blown saves than saves. If they lose this one,
this would be their 22nd, much to the delight of over 38,000 fans here today. We're trying to cheer on Mickey Morandini.
That's right through there. Want to send along get well wishes to a young man named Ricky Bonow. Young man was injured in a car accident and is resting at Children's Memorial Hospital. 1 ball, 1 strike. Off speed fooled him. 1-2. Now the Cubs down to their final strike. The 1-2. He just did stay alive. Oh, man.
Well, actually, Jeff Blauser here should take second base. And I think that's what Dan Radisson is telling him. You got Sweeney well behind him at first. Let him take second. It takes the force out of the equation. And on a play when you wouldn't normally have a play at first, you certainly don't want to see that force out at second.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Blauser a huge lead now. There he goes. The slider just missed. No stolen base. Defensive indifference.
Well, Detroit beat Cincinnati, so that's a piece of good news.
That game in extra innings. Cubs would love to force extra panels today. The 2-2. Line into right. Jermaine Dye turns the wrong way. It's over his head. And 2-run score. Mickey on his way to second. It's a 1-run game. Dye played beautifully in right all day long. Turns the wrong way. And the Cubs have the tying run at second with 2 out.
This looked like the 3rd out of the game as Mickey Morandini crushes this ball to right field. Jermaine Dye turns the wrong way. By the time he can adjust, it's over his head. And how about that? The Cubs just 1 run down as Mickey coasts into second for Jose Hernandez. Mark Wiley to the mound. And things looking a whole lot more interesting. You got Mark Grace in the on-deck circle.
It's a 5-4 game. The Royals bullpen continues to knot the stomach of Tony Muser.
RBIs 25 and 26 for Mickey Morandini on his 3rd hit of the day. And 1 more base hit and the Cubs tie it up. And Tony Muser looks like he could use some of that Pepcid AC chewable.
Here's Jose. Hernandez 1 out of 4 today. Morandini drives home 2. 38,000. Many have stayed for the conclusion. Ooh, strike call.
You would have to think that Service is going to force Jose to hit a slider.
Dump it into right field, Jose, if you can hit it that way. The 0-1. Missed with it. Grace waiting on deck. Grace has hit a couple of balls very hard today and has but 1 hit to show for it. And you know the Royals don't want to see him in this situation. One ball, 1 strike. Whoa, stayed high, I guess. That looked right down the middle. 2-1.
Cub fans on their feet. Take a look at this one. Wow. Belt high.
I guess it was curving too much to be a strike. That was right down the middle. We'll take the break. 2-1. Fastball blew it by him. 2-2. Again, we're down to our last strike. Two balls, 2 strikes. Runner at second, 2 out. The pitch. Struck him out with a slider and the ball game's over. Jose Hernandez strikes out with Morandini at second, and Kansas City survives to win game 1 of the series. 5-4 the final score. Stoney, the Cubs struggle to put any offense on the board in this game until scoring 1 in the 7th and 2 here in the 9th. But this team's inconsistency rises its ugly head once again, and now this homestand, which was so very important, stands at 2 wins, 2 losses against 2 of the worst teams in the American League.
Well, particularly frustrating for the Cubs in that Minnesota 21.5 games in back of Cleveland. Kansas City 21 games in back of Cleveland. Both teams 18 and 19 games under 500 respectively. And the Cubs at home looking to dominate, haven't been able to at this point. And it's been the last couple of days offensive problems for the Cubs. Today they got close, but that was it. And Scott Service threw a pretty good slider to Jose Hernandez, and he retired him. So the team that played so very well defensively had a defensive letdown in the 9th inning. Jermaine Dye, who had made every play all day, had a real tough play off the bat of Jeff Reed. That one you could understand him not coming up with, but he made the wrong turn against Mickey Morandini. That opened the door for the Cubs. Unfortunately, it was Jose Hernandez who went down swinging, and Kansas City wins the first game of a 3-game series. And if Houston does hold on and they're leading 2-0 heading into the top of the 9th inning, that would push the Cubs 10 games in back of the Astros, who are bidding for their 7th win in a row.
And a 2-game lead over Cincinnati, who also lost 9-8 to the Tigers in the opener of their interleague series. So the frustration level continues to be very high for the Cubs. Game number 89 goes Kansas City's way, 5-4 the final. Cubs now fall back to 3 games below 500 at 43 and 46 on the year, as Jeff Sappan outduels Kevin Tapani, and Scott Service survives the 9th to earn his 5th save. We'll be back to Wrigley Field with more right after this. Well, here's a look at your extended totals for today's ball game. The Kansas City Royals did a lot of scoring early in this game. They picked up an early run in the 1st inning. The big blow, though, a 3-run homer in the 6th by Tim Spear after a 2-out intentional walk to Joe Randa. That pretty much put this game out of reach, as the Royals, as has been their custom most of the year, they average about 5.5 runs a game. Got 5 today. They did it on only 8 hits this afternoon. No errors for Kansas City, who played a great game defensively despite Jermaine Dye's misadventures in right in the 9th inning, especially up the middle, where Carlos Fables and Ray Sanchez were so tough. Cubs 4 runs, 11 hits, only 1 error. Jeff Sappan picks up the win. He's now 5-5. Steve, he was terrific. In fact, retired 14 consecutive men from the 2nd inning until the 6th.
Well, Chip, for the 2nd game in a row, what happened with the Cubs happened early, and that is they had a starting pitcher on the ropes in the 1st inning. Yesterday it was Joe Mays, and today it was Jeff Sappan, and they had a chance to really do some damage, put the other team in a hole, and they let the starting pitcher off the ropes both times. And when that happened, both of them, yesterday in the case of Mays, who wound up throwing a shutout, today in the case of Sappan, who threw the ball very well and got it late and handed it to the bullpen, the Cubs letting him off the hook really allowed them to get their rhythm, and then it eventually did in the Cubs. So I think it's most disappointing for the ball club. You know, obviously they're trying as hard as they can, but to be 2-2 at this point, knowing the critical nature of this particular homestand, has to be a very difficult pill to swallow for Jim Riggleman and the entire Cub ball club.
And this is a team that was built for the home run ball. We did get a home run today by Henry Rodriguez, but this team has been woefully inconsistent with the home run ball, and they've given up a lot of runs early, which puts even more pressure on what has been at times a very inconsistent offense. You give up 68 first-inning runs over the course of a season, that's going to really make it tough on your team, and that's what happened again today for the Cubs.
Well, another factor also is when your starting pitcher does throw a lot of pitches early and give up a lot of runs early, that almost ensures that you're going to have to get into that bullpen. And like most teams, when you do that, the more pressure you put on that pen, the more runs you eventually give up. And as good as your offense is, if they have to keep digging themselves out of holes on a continuous basis, that's when you're not going to be able to put together that long winning streak. And we find the Cubs now, who had clawed their way back very close to 500, only to see themselves now slip 3 games under 500. And unfortunately, they've picked a very bad time to have a 2-game losing streak when we're looking at the Houston Astros being very much picked up by the return of their leader, Larry Dierker.
Which we knew was going to happen.
Right, going through what appears to be at this point, unless Cleveland comes back, a 7-game winning streak for the Astros.
So a frustrating loss for the Cubs again today. 5-4 the final score. We got shut out by Minnesota yesterday, beaten today by Kansas City by a run. And here's a look at our Budweiser play of the game. The biggest play of the day, the long home run by Tim Spear, a 3-run blast in the 6th. That made it a 5-1 affair before the Cubs rallied with 1 in the 7th and 2 more in the 9th inning. Cubs now 2-2 on this homestand. We fall back to 3 games under the 500 mark. And we'll get back at it tomorrow evening, a 7 o'clock ball game as we battle the Royals in game 2 of this 3-game series. Jay Watasek will pitch for Kansas City, a very high earned run average. Same story for Steve Traxel, but an encouraging sign. Steve pitched very well in the final game for the Cubs at the All-Star break as he beat the Chicago White Sox. Family Day started out very, very fine for the Cubs. The Kitties had a wonderful time, a big crowd on hand, but not enough runs late to stop this Kansas City team, a very good-looking, young, and up-and-coming ball club. 5-4 is our score. That's the final. For Steve Stone, Arnie Harris, and our entire crew, Chip Carey inviting you to stay tuned for an extended 10th inning show. It's coming your way right after this.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN was brought to you by Budweiser, who salutes America's responsible drinkers. Ameritech, in a world of technology, people make the difference. Pepsi, the joy of cola. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. And by Southwest Airlines, offering low fares and frequent flights. Southwest Airlines, the official airline of the Chicago Cubs.